In this video, I am putting together my fairy garden. So if you want to see me take care of that, keep watching. If you're new to my channel, I'm Denise Jordan, and I teach women to make wise home health and beauty decisions. So if you want to learn more about running a household, subscribe. And tap that little bell icon so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Okay, so let's get into it. I usually put something a little different in this pot right here. I usually have big flowers that come all up and all of that, but I'm late to the fairy garden party. I discovered fairy gardens last year, and I really wanted to make one this year that I would be able to see it every day. So I decided to put one right here. And then my sister and my mom gave me this little fairy house for Mother's Day. And so I thought it would be perfect in there somehow. And then I have picked up some of these things along the way. So I've got this little pond right here. Here's a little bird bath. Here's a couple little girls, like little fairies sitting on the edge somewhere. And a dragon. I love dragons. So of course this fairy garden has to have a dragon. And my neighbor down the street's gonna cut his grass. Of course. But I've got a bunch of little goodies. Oh, and I've got this sweet little fairy right here. She's laying down taking a nap. So I thought she would look good in this one. It was big enough to hold her. And then, of course, I've got this. So all of this stuff can't go in here. When I went to pick up some things, I picked up way too much. But we'll see what's what. So let me go ahead and get it started. So these are my two trees here that make up part of the forest. Then I've got this really pretty kind of a painted coleus that's also a part of that. And it'll get taller, but it won't get as tall as the trees. And these trees won't get near as tall as they would since they're in this little pot. But this one is a false cypress, and so I will put this stake in there just so I don't forget. And this one's kind of like a false arborvitae. So I will put that in there. That way I remember what they are. And then I've got some gravel that I'm going to put right here because I want to build up the soil just a little bit for where the house is going to sit. I want the house to sit right here. And I'll set it back as far as it'll go. So I think I'm going to get a few more rocks to put around there. And then I'll add some more greenery. I've got this little sleeping fairy right here, and I'm trying to think. I might want to put her right there. And fairy gardens are just whimsical, and one of my community members is Grandma Josie, and she, I believe, is the first one that introduced me to fairy gardens. She has so many. I think she does a new fairy garden almost every month, and she has little stories about each of them. And so this little fairy's name is Aria, and she's just kind of laying there taking a nap as she gets ready for her day. But this is her home. And Aria loves flowers, particularly flowers that have pinks and greens in them. So I'm going to put this, but you can't see the flower on it right now. There's the tiniest little one that was there and it got broken off, but I'm going to put this one right here on the edge. And if you saw The Hobbit and you saw Rivendell, it was very lush, very lush. You got flowers everywhere. So this is going to be a lush garden as well. So here's Aria taking her nap, and this Aria has a dragon, and look at this sweet little dragon. But this is a very nice dragon. This dragon's name is Star. And you can see that they're related because they're both green. So this is Aria's dragon, and they can speak to each other by mental telepathy. So right here is a little bird bath, and of course Aria loves birds, so it's going to sit right here, and it's in the shape of a leaf. So here's my fairy garden. I am so pleased with it. I kind of fiddle with it, move a few things around, but here is the final version of my fairy garden. So now let me tell you about it. So here's the house, and the door opens and closes, and the fairy can go in and out as they choose. And of course there's always little toadstools, and the toadstools in this garden are like red and white polka dot. They're bright and colorful. And then here's Aria. She's the fairy, and she's just taking a little nap out here. And she actually has a little pillow that you can't see under her arms. And then back here is Aria's dragon, Star, who's keeping watch over her and the entire fairy village. This particular fairy house is down deep inside a beautiful forest, and you can see the trees growing up around it, and then other pink and green greenery that's there as well. And these will be kind of a burgundy and pinkish flowers there. And here is a little bird bath, and here you can see there's a little water in the bird bath, and a couple of birds are perched there, and they're going to take a drink. And then you can see the river pebbles in the front that is making up the front yard of the fairy garden. So here we go. And then if you look right here, you can see just a little bit of a pot that I've got behind it, and then right tucked in there is some little signage that just says fairy garden, and there's some more little birds in yellow and pink and green that are hidden right there. So this is my fairy garden. And I will create a playlist that I will link below so that the creators can upload their fairy garden to the playlist. If you have not clued into fairy gardens yet, you are in for a treat because they are absolutely beautiful and so creative. So I encourage you to check on the playlist and just see what all the creators have done. Now I've got one more fairy garden to show you, and this one is for Grandma Josie's playlist. She inspired me to create fairy gardens, and she does not just one or two, but she has multiple fairy gardens at her house. And this other little fairy garden is for Grandma Josie, so let me show it to you. Now this is the fairy garden that I created for Grandma Josie, and it is just the sweetest little tiniest fairy garden. And right here you have this little fairy house, and this fairy house is shaped like a teapot. There's a little ladybug on top, and then pink and white flowers around the top and around the door. And the little house just sits right there. And then right here are two little fairies. They're actually twin sisters. One is Jill and the other is Jeanette. And they're just kind of sitting there enjoying some time in the sun. And if you look all around them, it's just really lush and green, which is what I expect fairy gardens to be, lush and green and in a valley. So this is the fairy garden that I put together for Grandma Josie. So which of my fairy gardens did you enjoy the most? Was it this one on a little bit bigger scale with Arya taking a nap and her dragon star watching over her, with the bigger house and this bigger forest with the little bird bath? Or the smaller one that I made for Grandma Josie? Tell me in the comment section below. And just so you know, I've raised 3 children. I've managed a home for more than 45 years. And I am a nurse by profession. So if you want to learn more about running a household, cooking and cleaning and laundry and health and beauty, and a little bit about gardening, subscribe. I would love to have you as a member of the TNT community. And if you like this video, I've got a fairy garden from last year. I will link it in the iCards above and also link it below so that you can check that out. And if you're interested in seeing my gardening series from 2018, I will link that as well. In the meantime, this is Denise Jordan saying goodbye. I will see you in the next video.